abyss and starts to break due to intense hunger. He eventually loses reason and begins to hunt the extremely strong wolves by using traps. Upon eating one, the cells of the monster change his DNA, and only the constant healing from the ambrosia saves him. His body transforms, becoming much stronger due to the constant healing of his muscles that keep getting torn apart from the symbiosis of his DNA and the monsters. After his transformation, he uses his transmutation skill to create powerful weaponry through trial and error, eventually creating his first pistol, Donner. He uses it to hunt the rabbit and bear monsters before looking for a way further into the abyss. Hajime, unaware he's only on the first floor of the abyss, realizes there's no way up. The only path is deeper. Strengthened by consuming monster meat, he pushes forward. On the second floor, he faces a lizard with petrifying eyes. His stump begins to turn to stone. But Hajime counters with holy water, blinds the beast with a flashbang, and kills it. Floor after floor, he battles through horrors until reaching the 50th. Before him stand massive doors etched with ancient inscriptions he's never seen. When he tries to transmute them, two Cyclops statues awaken. Hajime quickly shoots the first in the eye, then relentlessly assaults the second until its defenses shatter and it falls. Inside their corpses, he finds mana stones, the true keys to the door. Unlocking it, Hajime discovers a golden cube, and inside, a girl. She reveals she is a vampire, betrayed and sealed away, despite her power to heal any wound and manipulate mana freely. Moved by her story, Hajime frees her and gives her a new name. Yeah, inspired by her moonlit hair and crimson eyes, she embraces him in gratitude. While eating the flesh, Hajime tells Yue that all vampires were exterminated 300 years ago, making her the last vampire. Yue explains that the labyrinths were built by mavericks, powerful magic users who attempted and failed to defeat God, so they each constructed a labyrinth as sanctuaries against God's revenge and may still be alive on the deepest floors. Hajime transmutes the scorpion's shell to create a railgun which he names Schlagen. Hajime tells Yue how he was betrayed, but no longer cares about his classmates or even revenge. He just wants enough power to return to Japan, and as Yue no longer has a home, he asks her to go with them. Hajime's classmates decide to enter the labyrinth again. Hajime and Yue enter a floor where all monsters are infected and psychically controlled by a plant-like monster. Yue is infected. However, one of the monsters Hajime previously ate makes him immune to the infection, allowing him to kill the monster. Later, Yue strips naked to drink Hajime's blood and seduces him. Several days later, they reach the bottom floor and prepare to face the final boss monster. Hajime and Yue confront the final boss, a giant hydra-like monster with 6 different colored heads, each capable of a different type of magic, and one of which, the white one, can heal the others. Yue is distracted by the fear-inducing hypnosis of one of the heads and almost eaten, but Hajime snaps her out of it with a kiss. Hajime succeeds in using Schlagen to destroy 3 heads, including the healing head, and Yu destroys the remaining 3 with lightning. Before they can relax, a surprise 7th head emerges. Hajime is injured protecting Yue and Schlagen is destroyed. Yue drags the unconscious Hajime to safety and tries to attack with his pistol, but is injured. Even unconscious, Hajime hears Yue crying, regains consciousness and somehow increases his speed such that he can dodge all attacks. He explodes grenades all around the room, dropping the roof on the head and allowing Yue to kill it for good with lightning. As the final door opens, Hajime passes out from exhaustion. Meanwhile, Aiko Hatayama, Hajime's teacher who was also summoned as a hero, argues with the Pope, who is insisting that the summoned students re-enter the labyrinth. The Pope agrees to only send students that volunteer as long as Aiko continues using her fertility magic to support the kingdom's struggling agriculture. Hajime awakens in bed with Yue, having lost his right eye, and learns they are in the Maverick's home. After exploring the mansion, they discover the skeleton of the Maverick on the topmost floor before a magic circle. Hajime has his memories forcibly examined by a spell which activates a recording the Maverick left behind. The Maverick introduces himself as Oscar Orcus, and for defeating his labyrinth deems Hajime worthy to know the truth of the Maverick/God War. Hajime's classmates enter the labyrinth and defeat the behemoth they believe killed Hajime. Oscar grants Hajime his power and memories before disappearing. Hajime realizes the Mavericks were actually liberators and reveals he has inherited Oscar's ancient creation magic, allowing him to add magical properties to transmuted objects to create artifacts. They formally bury Oscar, and Hajime takes his ring, which controls a portal to the surface. Hajime decides to conquer all the labyrinths for their ancient magics. Over 2 months, Hajime takes advantage of Oscar's treasure, library, and workshop to learn as much as he can, crafting weapons and vehicles and outfitting himself with an advanced prosthetic arm and a magical jewel to replace his eye. Yue continues seducing him several times, so he gives her a magical ring and warns her that his plans will eventually make them enemies of the church and their god ahead. Yue swears to stay with him regardless as they teleport to the surface. Shehalia, a rabbit girl, waits impatiently at the spot Hajime and Yue are supposed to appear. When they arrive, Hajime and Yue attempt to ignore her as she is quite annoying. Hajime eventually agrees to lead them to a great tree mentioned in Oscar's library. Arriving at the tribe's forest, Hajime kills several monsters, using an unfortunate Shay as bait. The rabbit men ask Hajime for training as they are tired of being helpless. Hajime struggles to overcome their natural rabbit-like timidity, so he puts them through a merciless training routine of kill monsters or I'll kill you instead, turning them into tough monster killers. Shay takes them to the tree, which Hajime determines is the entrance to another labyrinth, but a stone slab nearby with slots for rings like Oscar's makes Hajime realize this labyrinth will only open after he has defeated other labyrinths first. The rabbit men decide to continue training and guard the tree until Hajime returns. Shay, having fallen in love with Hajime, decides to travel with them, and Yue is forced to let her after Shay technically wins a duel with Yue by managing to scratch Yue's face. The three travel to Risen Gorge, which contains the entrance to another labyrinth. They are greeted by the voice of hyperactive liberator Milady Risen, who built a maze-like labyrinth filled with practical jokes which mostly target Shay. Some of Hajime's classmates decide to abandon exploring the labyrinth and help Aiko on the farms. Hajime and the girls make it to the bottom of the labyrinth to face the boss, Milie herself, who is operating a giant robot. After a lengthy battle, they succeed in cracking her crystal heart. She uses the last of her energy to wish Hajime luck against E-Hit. Although Hajime claims he has no intention of defeating E-Hit, Milady assures him he will one day be a god killer. However, upon entering the treasure room, they find the actual real Milady's soul inside a small cartoonish golem, whom Shay punishes for all the pranks. For completing the labyrinth, she gives Hajime her ring and Yu her ancient gravity magic. She then expels them from the labyrinth through a toilet-like whirlpool, insists Hajime spend the night taking her virginity. Now publicly humiliated, Hajime prepares to punish Shay yet again. Hajime is asked by the Adventurers Guild to find a group of missing adventurers, including a noble's son. They travel to the nearby farming village of unaware the farms are currently being visited by Aiko and some classmates, though one classmate, Shimizu, has disappeared. Hajime and the girls enter the inn where Aiko and the students are dining, and they are stunned when they hear Shay calling him by name. Aiko tearfully confronts him, but he ignores her or deflects her questions. They are confronted by an arrogant Templar knight assigned to Aiko who insults Shay, so Hajime non-fatally shoots him. His classmates are shocked and scared by his new merciless personality, though Aiko swears she will find a way to bring him back. Later, Hajime visits Aiko alone to tell her the truth about the war against the demons. Centuries ago, several humans discovered the truth that the god E-Hit was not on their side, but merely controlling the unending war for his own amusement. These humans became the liberators to free mortals from Eth's tyranny. Unfortunately, Eth, through the church, had them labeled heretics and renamed mavericks, turning humanity against them. The remaining liberators built the labyrinths to keep their ancient magic safe until someone capable of defeating Hit came along to claim their powers. Before leaving, Hajime also tells Aiko plainly that one of his classmates tried to murder him. The next morning, Aiko and the students stubbornly insist on helping them search the mountains for the adventurers, as Aiko wants to ask more questions about the liberators. And Hajime reluctantly agrees, as leaving them behind might cause problems. Once in the mountains, Hajime uses transmuted drones connected to his jewel eye to search for the missing adventurers. They find the noble's son, Will, the only survivor, who reveals they had been attacked by an army of monsters and a black dragon. While returning, they are attacked by the dragon. Hajime succeeds in knocking it from the sky and attempts to pierce its armor with his pile bunker, which can drive Azanthium stakes through any material. The dragon almost escapes until Shay knocks it out with her giant hammer Drucken. Deciding to forgo piercing the armor, Hajime sadistically shoves the stake into its only unarmored area, the anus. However, the pain causes the dragon to reveal she is a female dragonborn, capable of taking a human form, and begs him to remove the stake in exchange for everything she knows. She admits she was magically forced by someone to attack Will and his friends, and as atonement offers to help them stop that person. Hajime decides to kill her anyway, but Yu convinces him to spare her. He removes the stake in the person, whoever he is, has an army of 60,000 monsters, and is planning to attack the farming village. Despite his better judgment and inclinations, Hajime is convinced by Aiko to defend He erects barricades around the village while avoiding the amorous intentions of Tio, who finds his mixture of neglect and verbal abuse exciting. On the morning of the attack, Hajime, in order to inspire defenders, dedicates their guaranteed victory to Aiko, goddess of plenty, embarrassing her. then proceeds to massacre the monster army with transmuted miniguns and rocket launchers. With his minigun ammunition depleted and Yue and Tio out of magic, Hajime and Shay rush to capture the mysterious robed commander as the monsters retreat. The commander is captured, brought back to the village, and revealed to be the missing student Shimizu. Shimizu admits he was disappointed not to be the only summoned hero, especially as he paled in comparison to his more powerful classmates, so he signed a contract with a demon for his power in exchange for killing a Keiko. Taking Aiko hostage in an attempt to escape, he scratches Aiko with a poisonous needle, but is shot from behind by a demon, who escapes on a flying monster. Hajime manages to shoot the fleeing sniper. Shimizu is his enemy. Shizumu offers loyalty to Hajime, who spots the lie in his eyes and mercilessly executes him, devastating Aiko. As the group, which now includes Tio and will leave, Yue correctly guesses that the sniper was actually aiming at Aiko. So Hajime finished off Shimizu so Aiko would blame him and not herself, but that Aiko will eventually realize the truth, thereby enabling her to recover much quickly psychologically. A gang of slavers captures a rare mermaid child named Mew and plan to sell her. Hajime returns Will and collects the agreed fee. Deciding they need a break, they explore the city as tourists. At an aquarium, Hajime and Shay meet a sentient talking fish and decide to free him. As thanks, the fish passes on information about a captured merchild. Hajime and Shay wander the city until he senses the child in the sewers underground and rescues her, enraging the slaver's boss. Hajime and Shay keep the girl, whose name is Mew, safe, but struggle with what to do next. Elsewhere, Yue and Tio discuss sharing Hajime between them. Hajime decides to deliver Mew to the city guards, despite her begging to stay with him. After a tearful Mew is handed over, the guardhouse is attacked and Mew kidnapped again. Enraged, Hajime, with Yo, Shay, and Tio's help, begins tearing the city apart looking for the upcoming auction, while systematically eliminating known associates of the slavers and saving many children along the way. Locating the auction in a noble's mansion, Hajime executes the boss, rescues Mayu, and blows up a mansion along with the auction's customers. Mew decides she wants to stay with the gang and starts calling an uncomfortable Hajime Papa, which causes Yu, Shay, and Tio to demand that Hajime get them all pregnant with his children. Despite his unease, Hajime takes to parenting Mew quite well. They return to the city where the Great Orcus Labyrinth is located. While Hajime and crew are visiting the Adventurers Guild delivering a letter from another branch, a panicked Endu, one of Hajime's former classmates, bursts in and tells them that the demon Catleya had set a trap in the labyrinth for the rest of the class. The class are overwhelmed by Catleya's summoned monsters, unable to even get close to Catleya to try killing her, while Captain Meld, who had held off attacking monsters to give Endu a chance to escape, is seriously wounded. Hajime is indifferent until Endu upsets Mew, making him downright refuse to help at all. A student, Suzu, is wounded, causing most of the class to flee. Kiyama and Nakamura both suggest signing contracts with the demon to survive. Kuki, the main hero who refuses to back down, gets close to Catleya, but after a dropped locket with a picture of her lover makes him realize she has a life outside the war as well. He hesitates and drops his guard, causing him to be attacked from behind and wounded. With support from the girls, Hajime decides to save his classmates. Shizuku's sword is broken during the battle, so she prepares to die alongside Keri. However, they are saved at the last second by Hajime, who had created a shortcut using his piled river to blast through the upper floors. Kaori, hearing his voice, is stunned to realize that Hajime is still alive. Hajime sees through Catleya's magic and kills all her monsters as the girls protect the class. When Endu reveals Hajime's identity, the others are stunned, while Hiyama is terrified, fearing he will be revealed as Hajime's attempted murderer. Hajime transmutes Shizuku a new indestructible and super sharp katana sword, which she uses to decimate a snake monster. Mew calls Hajime Papa, confusing everyone and upsetting Kaori. Catleya attempts to flee, but is caught by Hajime, who tortures her for information, shocking his classmates. When Catleya still refuses to talk, Hajime correctly theorizes that a demon had cleared one of the labyrinths and is using its ancient magic to create a monster army. With his questions answered, Hajime prepares to kill Catleya. Catleya warns him her lover will kill him in revenge, but Hajime kills her anyway, to Koki's horror. Using Hajime's holy water, Captain Meld is healed. In the aftermath, Kuki is outraged that Hajime executed the helpless Catleya, so Hajime berates him in return for being too weak to do what is necessary, warning Kuki if he or any of his former classmates get in his way, he will kill them too. Back outside, Kaori finally confesses that she loves Hajime, but he gently rebuffs her as he already loves Yue. Kaori insists on joining his team anyway to compete with Yue. When Shizuku later tries to return the sword Hajime gave her, he tells her to keep it, and it is suggested she may be developing feelings for him. As they leave in Hajime's transmuted SUV, Kaori is furious to discover she must share the backseat with Shay and Tio while Yu and Miu automatically get the passenger seat beside Hajime. Hajime remains determined to make it back to Japan no matter who he has to kill, even God himself. Koki returns to the castle with the rest of the class, completely shaken after learning that Kaori not only confessed her love to Hajime, but also chose to leave the group and travel with him. Meanwhile, Hajime and his party continue their journey through the dangerous Gruin Desert, where they are suddenly attacked by dozens of massive sandworms. After easily defeating the monsters, they rescue a noble named Bize Forward Zengen, the son of the Duke of Ankaji. However, Bize is suffering from a mysterious illness that overloads his body with mana and will eventually kill him. He reveals that the entire region of Ankaji is in crisis as the water supply has been contaminated, causing the residents to suffer the same deadly condition. After hearing this, Hajime decides to help the people of Ankaji. But far away, Demon General Frayed learns that Hajime was responsible for several of the demon army's recent defeats, and begins preparing to face the dangerous Irregular himself. Hajime's party arrives at Ankaji, where they provide a new water supply to the citizens afflicted by the curse, and destroy the monster responsible for infecting the city's main oasis. While Kaori stays behind to treat the sick with Miu, Hajime and the rest of the party infiltrate the Gruin volcano, the site of the third labyrinth and the source of a mineral necessary to cure Ankaji's sick. The group push forward through great rivers of molten lava all the way to the core, which they discover is guarded by 100 monsters. Hajime and the girls readily attack the monsters guarding the core, but just as they slay the last of them, a massive beam of light strikes Hajime. Desperately concerned for his safety, they immediately converge to protect him, then prepare to ferociously retaliate. Hajime is suddenly wounded by a surprise attack from Fried, but even with the element of surprise, the demon general still fails to defeat Hajime's party in battle. Realizing he cannot win, Fried resorts to a desperate plan. He destroys the controls that prevent the volcano from erupting, trapping Hajime and the others inside so the eruption will finish them off. Before the exit seals, Hajime orders Tio to escape using her dragon abilities and deliver the mineral cure back to Kaori and Miu in Ankaji, while he and the rest search for another way out. Meanwhile, at the royal palace, Shizuku learns from Princess Liliana that the king plans to declare Hajime a heretic for defying the kingdom. At the same time, Daisuke Hiyama grows increasingly unstable after Kaori chooses Hajime. But things take a darker turn when a mysterious classmate reveals they always knew Hiyama tried to kill Hajime and Orcus, and approaches him with a dangerous proposal for an alliance. Having barely escaped from her pursuers, Tio returns to Ankaji and is treated by Kaori and Miu, while Hajime, Yu, and Shay reach the core of the labyrinth and claim its ancient magic before escaping in a submarine created by Hajime. Sometime later, the party regroups in the middle of the ocean and arrives at the sea city of Arisen, home to the merfolk, where Miu is reunited with her mother. Meanwhile, Shizuku consults with Aiko and learns that Hajime has been officially branded as a heretic by the church for refusing to comply with their orders, and that both her pleas for him and his actions in saving people have been totally ignored. Aiko also reveals that both the king and the nobles are behaving strangely, and that Hajime had told her something very important that she needs to share with her students. The party departs Arisen to explore the underwater ruins of Maluzine, the site of the fourth labyrinth. As they fight their way inside the ruins, they encounter a powerful monster. As the group retreats, Hajime and Kaori become separated from the others. The pair continues fighting the illusory foes of the labyrinth together until they finally find time to rest and confer about their circumstances. Hajime reprimands Kaori for continuing to compare herself and feel inferior to Yu, who stood beside Hajime when he was most in need of someone, but reiterates that Yu is the one he loves and suggests that Kaori leave the party if she can't accept that. Meanwhile, back at the castle before she can share Hajime's information with the class, Aiko is kidnapped by a mysterious nun, an act Liliana secretly witnesses. Hajime and Kaori keep exploring the dungeon together until they watch a scene from the past where a peace treaty between the races is shattered by Ehit's intervention. As they proceed, a spirit possesses Kaori and attempts to kill Hajime, but he proceeds to torture it with magic bullets to force it to leave Kaori's body. After she is freed, Kaori kisses Hajime and affirms that she still loves him and wants to be by his side, despite his feelings for you. The two then reach the core of the labyrinth, where they reunite with the others to claim the ancient magic. The monster who previously attacked the party returns to fight, but is destroyed by Hajime with help from the same sentient fish Hajime and Shay had freed on another occasion. Meanwhile, the rest of the students are worried about Aiko's disappearance, unaware that she is being held captive at the Divine Mountain. Hajime and the girls spend some days at Arisen, with Hajime reluctant about parting ways with Mew. Once her mother reassures Hajime that she will be fine with his departure, Hajime promises to Mew that he will take her to visit Japan once he finds a way back there. As the party departs to continue their journey, Liliana flees from the castle, certain that she can't trust anyone there, and the Demon Lord's forces prepare a large-scale attack on the humans. Meanwhile, Commander Meld is considering sending a letter to Hajime to ask for his help, when Hiyama appears to talk to him. One of Meld's subordinates is hypnotized and attempts to kill him, and just when Meld protects Daisuke from the attacker, Hiyama takes the opportunity to stab him from behind. Meld escapes from his attackers but is intercepted and killed by the Apostle Noint. Meanwhile, Hajime's party rescues some travelers from a group of bandits and reunites with Liliana, who reveals that she ran away from the castle to look for a way to rescue Aiko, who is being held at the Divine Mountain, which is also the site of the fifth labyrinth. Hajime rescues Aiko from her cell, but they are attacked by Noint, while an army of 100,000 monsters led by Fried and his subordinates approach the capital. Weakened by the priest's magic and protecting Aiko from harm, Hajime is at a disadvantage fighting Noint. Yu and Shay confront and defeat Fried and his soldiers, with Shay killing Mikhail and Yu reopening Fried's previous near-fatal wound, forcing him to flee, while Kaori and Liliana search for the rest of Hajime's classmates. Tio rendezvouses with Hajime, who entrusts Aiko to her care and begins his counterattack. Having nothing left to hold him back, Hajime defeats Noint after a costly battle. Tio and Aiko combine their powers to launch an attack on the temple, but end up destroying it completely while killing everyone inside. Hajime rejoins the duo, and the image of one of the liberators guides them to the core of the labyrinth, where they claim the ancient magic. Elsewhere, the students learn about the monster invasion and regroup with the knights by Eri's suggestion, but Eri betrays her classmates and subdues them with help from the knights under her control. Eri finally reveals her true betrayal. She sided with the demons and used her necromancy to slaughter the kingdom's knights, resurrecting them as undead under her control. To prove it, she even kills their classmate Kondo and brings him back as a puppet. Her twisted goal is soon revealed. She wants to turn Kuki into an undead so he can belong only to her forever. Kaori and Princess Liliana arrive to help, and Kaori heals the injured classmates, allowing them to fight back. But suddenly, Hiyama betrays them and mortally stabs Kaori from behind, while Kuki is paralyzed by a poison Eri secretly gave him with a kiss. Just as Eri prepares to resurrect Kaori as an undead, Hajime arrives. He instantly crushes Hiyama with a brutal punch and destroys the undead knights with his minigun. When Fried appears with an army of monsters, Hajime annihilates them all with a devastating space laser. Taking advantage of the chaos, Eri escapes with Fried, while Hajime carries Kaori's body away, determined to bring her back to life. Hajime and his companions manage to preserve Kaori's soul, but at her own request they place it into the restored body of Noint, giving her far greater combat power while keeping her original body safe until they return to Japan. 5 days later, Hajime finally reveals the shocking truth about Ahit's real intentions to the rest of the students. Kauki insists they must unite and fight together to save the world, but Hajime refuses, saying his only goal is to return home. Even so, the students decide to cooperate with him. They split into 2 groups. One stays behind to protect the kingdom, while the other, including Kuki and Shizuku, travels with Hajime toward the next labyrinth while escorting Princess Liliana to the imperial capital to stop Ahit's plans. Hajime agrees to guide them to the labyrinths, but makes it clear they must conquer them on their own, secretly planning to use them as shields if things go wrong.